Your AI generated images and prompts are killing your brand. The problem with this is not that you're using AI for your brand, but it's that you haven't told it how to be you. You're using a generic version which ultimately results in a very generic answer, and you're showing the world that you are a generic brand. The problem with now in AI content is that when you don't specifically tell it how you create your posts or how you do your content, it will just create it based off what it thinks you want, not actually what you really want. One of the biggest problems that I see on LinkedIn and other platforms is that people use a generic tone and you get the exact same format from company to company. Now, there's no issue with using AI, and I think it's a really good tool. But when you're producing general low-value content, it can be really risky for your business, and it comes across you as being unprofessional and quite often not very serious. Now, this is why I think we need an AI brand strategy. All businesses, especially now in today's day and age, should have an AI brand strategy. Now, what actually is that? So, AI brand strategy really is a situation where you've sat down with your team, or if you're a solo founder, you've sat down and you've discussed what are we using it for? How do we implement it? How does AI represent us into the public? And what kind of content are we producing with the AI, which enables us to be better people and to do more work in our industry? Now, the biggest problem is people are rolling out AI across their whole team. But the biggest thing is we don't have a unified approach for that kind of content. So what happens is team member A produces content based off a really good prompt and like, oh yeah, AI is great, it's good for the business, and let's pump it out there because we're gonna get a lot more content done. And then team member B goes ahead and creates a very similar piece, but they've not been so specific with their prompt. And what happens is we have this like completely different situation that's occurred where you've got actually not your brand's best interest being represented on your brand's platform. Now, how would we teach AI exactly how we want our voice to be projected and brought out to the world? Well, we have to create, and this is a part of our AI brand strategy, our voice or our public voice. Most businesses will already have something like this developed because it pretty much comes across as a necessity when you get bigger and bigger as a brand strategy and a brand voice and a business and who are we known for? Who do you want to be known for? That's already pretty much done in a lot of big businesses. But when you're starting out, it's very important to actually go out of the way to produce those documents early and actually get a bit of continuity throughout your growth phases. Now, when it comes to personal content and things that you produce for your company, it's really good here to note that one of the best ways to do that, especially something that I love to do, is actually create voice notes. Use voice notes and previous posts which you've manually created to capture exactly how you speak and how you present to your audience. One of the things that I love doing is pulling out my phone, opening up voice memos and just talking. And I'll talk about a topic for a little bit of time and I'll try and convey the message effectively, but also without a lot of jargon in there. And then you can really effectively convey to the AI exactly what kind of language and voice model you're using. Are you somebody who's very direct? Are you a very good storyteller? Do you go around the bush? Now, all of these things are really important and everybody has their own unique voice. And when we're capturing that in order to replicate it, it's very important to have those documents created so that you can share that with your AI model that you choose. Claude, OpenAI's ChatGPT, Gemini, Spark, they're all really, really good tools and they will all adapt to your voice because you have created it in its own unique way. Your brand voice is actually not just tone. This is where it needs to capture everything, including your beliefs, what you repeat in your business, what you truly reject, and what your plans, business, and goals really are. We're going to start with defining a brand core. This is where we cover things like who we are, what we do, how do we get it done, what's our voice, what's our mission, what's our goal, and everything like that. We're pretty much like essentially what you're doing is taking your brand strategy, which is already existing or might be out there, or if you don't have one already, use like Google. Like there's templates out there already, or use ChatGPT and have a chat with it about it and really build out and create like what your brand needs to be, what sits well with you and your customers and whoever you're trying to serve. Like that's a really important thing too. But we start with defining our brand core, and then we go into collecting our real voice samples. Now this does not just include, when I say voice, it's not an audio recording as such, but it is samples of what you sound like when you type and you voice and you create voice notes. So if you have videos online, grab those transcripts because that's how you speak. And if you have videos of you talking to a public or you have a speech, that's a perfect example of how you speak naturally. If you have LinkedIn posts from the past, which you yourself wrote, that's really good to keep as well. All of those documents which you organically created yourself are really, really good and valuable tools to have when you're creating your own AI voice. The second thing is when we create our voice profile, what does it look like? Well, it's really a culmination of our organically created voice notes. We have scripts or our visual writing in one spot, and then the other we have our text or our written language, because written is usually different to spoken because you read things differently to how you speak them most of the time. So we keep those things separate. Number 4 is creating AI instructions. This is pretty much where we tell the AI how it needs to reference our content based off our initial query. So if we said I need a new script for YouTube in my voice about topic X, Y, and Z with this information included, then it needs to know that where to reference the data, how to build it, and also how we can make things better in that sense. Number 5 is we have to create some kind of review loop. Before we speak or post that content, as a human, you need to be notified. So a lot of the time you can actually create systems that will automatically post to your socials with zero interaction from you. But I think a really important thing to do is to make sure there's a human in there who's verifying that that's brand aligned and content worthy of being shared under the brand's name. That's the full framework that I use, and I think it's really important to get that across to everybody else. Now say you're a service-based business and you're producing a product which people enjoy, and you're posting and you're finding that your team's ability to create posts and deliver on time is severely hindered when you create more content. So the idea here is that you're going to outsource your content creation, or most of it, to an artificial model like ChatGPT or Claude, and then in return you're going to free up your team's time and also give your brand better online presence and recognition through being consistent. Now, this is really important to keep in mind, is the fact that this strategy, if you're service-based business, because you provide a service, and a lot of the time people know who you are based off either word of mouth, they've seen your ads, or they know you do good service from that, like ads or personal experience. Now, if you're starting to post things online which is just not aligned to what they remember you for or how they valued you, it's going to create some kind of uncertainty and even possibly break trust and make you look like you're not a serious business. Now, simply sitting down with your team in this instance and verifying and double checking how you want to be presented or represented on social media is a really good way to create this strategy in addition to your brand content strategy. Now, the biggest point here is that we're not trying to make AI sound like a human. We're just trying to make your brand sound more like your brand and continue to provide the value and service that you yourself actually produce for the greater community and your customers as a whole. So what should a business do next? So if you're watching this video to the end, I really appreciate you coming, and I'd love you to subscribe and keep watching me produce more of this stuff, because I really appreciate your time. So what should we produce next? So in a business, the best thing to do is go okay, I'm thinking about getting some AI automation into my business and get my content strategy aligned, and I want to make this other stuff. So what's the best thing to do? You want to find out your brand core. Then you want to collect samples of how you or your brand has been connecting with community. Then you want to create this voice profile, and that could just be a folder on your computer which has got all of the content clearly labeled and usable so that an AI can interact with it. Then we want to create the AI instructions. How does AI use that brand voice and that voice profile to create more content aligned to your brand's vision and its values and the community of which you serve? Number 5 is creating a review loop. Once you do that, how do you verify that it's actually you and that it sounds like your business? That's where I would start with my business, and that's the 5-step strategy, and I'll put it in the comments below so you guys can see it super easy as well. But anyway guys, that's all for this episode, and I'm hoping that this provides some real value. I'll see you guys in the next video, and let's get some good quality AI content into the world instead of that AI slop we're all used to. Thanks guys, peace out.